In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life. The trees and shrubs, the flowers and ground, the animals, one by one, by one, by one. All the animals of the ground and those from the deep. Creatures of every kind. And then, through the Word came us. People of every shape and size and kind came from the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. The life was the light of all the people, and the light shines in the darkness. The darkness did not overcome it. There was a man sent by God, whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He pointed back to the people, to the animals, to the earth and the seas and the chaos before. He pointed to the Word that began it all. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. John himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. So the Word, God's eternal Word, God's very reason and order and creativity and light, God's very being, took on flesh. In a baby, in a manger, God dwelled among us. Emmanuel, God with us. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But some came from near and afar to testify to God's presence, to be present in the midst of the mystery and beauty of the Word. And the Word was God, and the Word was with God. To all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God. In the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the deep, in the midst of the struggle between darkness and light, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. In the middle of the chaos and the struggle between darkness and light, between resignation and hope, Jesus waded into the middle of it all. He was baptized by John, went down into the waters and the chaos, and in the middle of that moment, God claimed Jesus as his Son, the Beloved. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not the first time God waded into human history. The law indeed was given by God through Moses. God was at work through the covenant and the law through the judges and kings and prophets. But in Jesus, the very embodiment of God's grace, God's kindness, God's creativity and generosity and soul, God's heart is made known. And we are given the chance to know an unknowable God. We are able to recognize ourselves as God's children, claimed out of the waters and the chaos through baptism, claimed as children of the ever-present Word. The Word that was in the beginning, is now, and forever will be. We are children of God. We have seen God's heart. We have been transformed by the sheer mystery, the wonder, the beauty, the struggle, and the triumph of God's grace. We have been made free, no longer subject to our own frail selves, no longer trapped by our own desires or the designs of others, but instead restored to the purpose, the intention of God's creation. And so, now, we share, we sing, we tell of all that we have learned of God's heart. We continue to study and wrestle and grow. We continue to discern and struggle and be blessed. We strive, day after day after day, to share God's heart, God's Word. For in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.